You are what you eat. That's a phrase that turns up frequently these days in the numerous articles and books that inundate us with advice about what to eat and what foods to disdain. These are often accompanied by clever illustrations portraying the human body as being made up of various foods. Over 20 books with the title You Are What You Eat are available on Amazon, with the message obviously being that our health is determined by what we put into our mouth. The origin of the expression traces back to a quote by French lawyer, politician, and gastronome Jean Anthelme Brillat-Savarin in his 1826 book, The Physiology of Taste. Tell me what you eat and I will tell you what you are. Exactly what he meant is somewhat controversial. Most likely, Brillat-Savarin was referring to food choices being a reflection of a person's character, class, and cultural background, although he did also talk about sugar and white flour causing obesity. So his quote can also be interpreted as suggesting a link between food and health. Such a link surfaced again in 1922 when the Atlantic Monthly, a magazine, featured an ad from Fleischmann's Yeast with the headline, "Medicine cannot do this for you. Your strength and vigor depend on what you eat." However, the actual phrase, "you are what you eat," seems to have first appeared in a 1923 advertisement by United Meat Markets that quoted self-styled nutritionist Victor Lindlahr as saying, 90% of the diseases known to man are caused by cheap foodstuff. You are what you eat. Then in 1942, Lindlahr expounded on his idea further and bestowed enduring fame on the phrase by making it the title of his widely sold book in which he offered all sorts of dietary advice, mostly sensible. He argued that many health issues were the result of poor dietary habits, exemplified by the consumption of industrial processed foods that he maintained were nutritionally deficient. Lindlahr advocated for a diet rich in fresh fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, while discouraging excessive consumption of sugar, refined grains, and additives. In this, he was ahead of his time, but his claim that dietary changes could cure nearly all diseases was an overstatement, and his notions about certain foods being able to detoxify the body were devoid of scientific basis. The "you are what you eat" philosophy certainly has merit, because there's no doubt diet does influence health, but it is clearly not the only factor. If different individuals are put on exactly the same diet, they will have different outcomes. Genetics are obviously a factor here, but so is level of activity, which may be as important as nutrition. Avoiding destructive behavior such as smoking, excessive drinking, or substance abuse also play a role in health outcomes. And let's not forget that food should also be a source of pleasure, so not every morsel that goes into our mouth has to be evaluated in terms of its possible effect on health. As Brillat-Savarin opined, the discovery of a new dish does more for the happiness of mankind than the discovery of a star. And that for today is our Cup of Joe.